An obese alien princess had been handed to a human janitor as punishment, but he would care for her like no one else could. Before we dive in, drop a quick "Hi" in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. It really helps the channel. The corridors of Diplomatic Station Helios 7 shimmered under pristine lights, immaculate and perfect. Tyler Grant, a human janitor, pushed his cleaning cart along the West Wing, whistling an old Earth tune. At 32, he had spent 5 years scrubbing up after pompous diplomats and entitled alien dignitaries. The pay was fair, the quarters modest but comfortable, and he'd carved a quiet little life for himself in the chaos of interstellar politics. But today felt different. The station buzzed like a living organism, bracing for the arrival of the Zurian royal family. The Zurians were legendary across the galaxy, tall, willowy, obsessed with physical perfection. Beauty and influence were their currency, and tensions ran high. Grant, Docking Bay 3. Now! His supervisor Meredith Hayes' voice snapped through his comm unit. Tyler tucked his cloth into his belt and sighed. On my way, Ms. Hayes. At the docking bay, Meredith was a whirlwind, her hair loosening from its tight bun, eyes wild as she waved him forward. There you are. The Zuran Royal Shuttle lands in 5 minutes. Ambassador Chun has special instructions for you. Tyler arched an eyebrow, but followed her to the human ambassador, who looked equally tense. Mr. Grant, Ambassador Chun said, voice low, serious, I have a delicate assignment. The Zurian Princess Lilith will be staying on the station during negotiations, and she's assigned to you. Tyler blinked. Assigned to me? You mean, clean her quarters? Chun exchanged a glance with Meredith. Not exactly. Princess Lilith has fallen out of favor with her royal court. This is their way of punishing her. You are to provide her accommodations in your quarters and ensure her well-being while she's here. My quarters? I only have 1 bedroom, Tyler protested. Then she takes it. You sleep on the couch, Chun said firmly. This is a direct order. The success of these negotiations depends on our compliance, no matter how strange it seems. Before Tyler could argue, the docking bay doors hissed open. The Zurian entourage entered, tall, elegant, silvery blue beings, moving like dancers in flowing robes. And then he saw her, Princess Lilith. She had the same silvery blue skin and delicate features as her family, but where they were thin, almost fragile, she was large. By Zuran standards, obese. By human eyes, pleasantly plump. She kept her gaze down, cheeks flushed deep blue with shame. The Zurian king, sharp-featured and severe, stepped forward. This is the servant? He demanded, ignoring Tyler. Yes, your majesty, Chun confirmed. The king's gaze scanned Tyler with thinly veiled disgust. He will do. Lilith, come forward. The princess obeyed, still avoiding eye contact. Up close, Tyler noticed a grace in her movements, subtle and innate. Her silvery hair was intricately plaited, her robes simple but elegant. This human will be your keeper during your stay, the king announced loudly. Perhaps time with a lesser species will help you reflect on the disgrace you've brought to our house. Lilith flinched. Tyler felt a surge of protectiveness. He'd tolerated entitled aliens before, but this public humiliation of someone so clearly vulnerable, he couldn't ignore. Your Majesty, he said, stepping forward, bowing just enough to show respect without submission. I'd be honored to host Princess Lilith. I will ensure she is treated with the respect her status deserves. The king's eyes narrowed at Tyler's quiet defiance, but Chun quickly intervened. Mr. Grant will show the princess to her accommodations. If that is acceptable, your majesty. The king waved them off. Take her. We have matters to discuss. Without another glance at his daughter, he swept away with the entourage, leaving Tyler standing awkwardly beside Princess Lilith. Still silent, still downcast. Meredith gave him a sharp look, warning him silently before hurrying after the diplomats. Tyler was alone with the princess, and somehow he already knew this moment would change everything. Princess Lilith, Tyler said softly, offering a hand. I'm Tyler Grant. If you'll come with me, I'll show you to my quarters. For the first time, she looked up. Tyler caught her violet eyes, deep, luminous, a trait all Zurans shared, but hers seemed brighter, sharper, almost defiant against the round softness of her face. You don't have to pretend to be kind, she said quietly, her voice like liquid music tinged with bitterness. I know what I am, and I know what this assignment means. Tyler shook his head. I'm not pretending. Where I come from, treating people with respect isn't optional. Come on. I'll show you around the station on our way. It's not much, but it's home. They walked together through the gleaming corridors. Tyler pointed out the hydroponics garden, lush with vegetables. The recreation deck, where observation windows framed the endless cosmos. And the marketplace, alive with vendors and aliens from 16 different species. Humans are actually a minority here, he explained casually. Only about 20% of the population. I've never spoken to a human before, Lilith admitted. Our education says you're primitive, barely out of your planetary cradle. Tyler laughed. Well, compared to the Zurans, maybe. You've been spacefaring for what? 5,000 years. About 372, according to our records, she corrected, cheeks reddening. I enjoy historical studies. Nothing wrong with being smart, Tyler said, smiling. Finally, they reached his quarters. He waved his access card, and the door slid open. The space was modest, a main room serving as kitchen and living area, a worn but comfortable couch, a small dining table, and doors to the bedroom and bathroom. It's small, he admitted, gesturing, but clean and the environmental controls work. The bedroom is yours, of course. Lilith studied the room silently. Where will you sleep? The couch pulls out into a bed, Tyler replied. I've slept on worse. Her brow furrowed. This isn't right. I shouldn't displace you. Tyler waved her off. No trouble at all. Want something to eat? I don't have Zurian cuisine, but I've got universal protein packs that should work for you. She hesitated. I'm not permitted to eat outside designated meal times, part of my correction program. Tyler's jaw tightened, but he kept calm. Restricted diet, huh? Well, you're in my quarters now. Here, you eat when you're hungry. That's the rule. Lilith blinked, surprised. But my father isn't here. Look, princess, Tyler interrupted gently. I don't know what's normal in your culture, but using food as punishment is cruel. I won't force you, but I won't deny you either. For the first time, a small, hesitant smile appeared. Please, call me Lilith. And I am a little hungry, Tyler grinned. Then let's eat. Over the next few days, a rhythm formed. Tyler went about his janitorial duties while Lilith accompanied him, excluded from the diplomatic meetings. At first, she kept to herself, embarrassed to be seen with a janitor. But Tyler's easy confidence, his fairness, and the way he treated everyone, diplomats, bots, or aliens, with the same respect slowly drew her out. Why clean manually when bots exist? Lilith asked one afternoon as Tyler scrubbed a stubborn stain. Bots handle basics, he explained, crouching. Some things need a human touch. Plus, it feels good to make a difference, even in small ways. Lilith's expression softened. On Zeter, anyone of status would never do manual labor. It's degrading. Is that why your father thinks leaving you with me is punishment? Tyler asked, curious. Her face fell. That, and because humans are considered unattractive by Zurian standards. Tyler laughed. Well, I can't argue with alien beauty standards. But honestly, I think you're beautiful. A deep blue blush spread across her cheeks. You don't have to say that. I don't say what I don't mean, Tyler replied firmly. In human culture, beauty is subjective. Some prefer more body mass, some less. It's all perspective. Lilith's voice was small, hopeful. On Zeter, only one standard exists. Thinner is better. I've been a disappointment my whole life. No diet, no training changed that. Tyler's tone softened. There's nothing wrong with how you look, Lilith. Nothing at all. That evening, Tyler took Lilith to the bustling marketplace. Colors, sounds, and scents swirled around them. This is wonderful, she whispered. Our market's on Zeter. They're sterile, ordered. Tyler grinned. Sterile is boring. Come on. I want you to meet someone. He led her to a food stall run by a four-armed alien with vibrant orange skin, the aroma of exotic dishes wafting through the air. Grass, meet my friend Lilith, Tyler said with a grin. Any friend of Tyler's is welcome at my stall, Grass replied warmly, his clicking language translated perfectly by the universal translator. What can I get for you? 2 specials, Tyler said, winking. And make mine extra spicy. Grass's forearms moved with effortless precision, assembling the meals in a blur of motion. What's a special? Lilith asked nervously. A surprise, Tyler said, smiling. But trust me, Grass makes the best food on the station. When the wraps, bursting with vibrant vegetables and protein, were handed to them, Lilith hesitated, but only for a moment. One bite, and her eyes widened. This is incredible, she exclaimed. I've never tasted anything like it. Tyler laughed. Not up to Zuran royal standards, huh? Lilith shook her head. Royal cuisine is all about presentation and tradition, not flavor. This has a million tastes at once. They walked through the market, sampling foods, dodging busy residents, and Tyler introducing her to the colorful melting pot of the station. To his surprise, Lilith was curious, asking thoughtful questions and genuinely engaging with the different cultures she encountered. You know, Tyler said as they headed back to his quarters. You're nothing like what I expected a princess to be. Lilith tilted her head. What did you expect? Someone hot, entitled, aloof, but you're kind. Curious. Tyler trailed off, suddenly aware he'd been staring at her. And what? Lilith's violet eyes sparkled, cheeks tinged with color. And I'm really glad you were assigned to me, Tyler admitted, feeling heat creep up his own cheeks. When they reached his quarters, Tyler's comm unit buzzed. Ha! That's unusual, he muttered. What is it? Lilith asked. Ambassador Chin wants to see me alone. Lilith snorted. Maybe they want to check you're treating me poorly enough, she said half-joking. Tyler laughed. They're going to be disappointed. Will you be okay here by yourself for a bit? I'll be fine. I have the book you lent me, she said, clutching pride and prejudice. I won't be long, Tyler promised, heading out. When he arrived at Ambassador Chin's office, he froze. Both the ambassador and the Zuran Queen were waiting. Mr. Grant, Ambassador Chin said formally. Her Majesty wishes to speak with you regarding Princess Lilith. The Queen's presence was immediately intimidating, sharp features framed by cold violet eyes. Human, she said, cutting straight to the point. I understand you have been taking my daughter into public areas of the station. Tyler straightened. Yes, Your Majesty. I've shown her around and introduced her to the station's residents. That was not the arrangement, the Queen said icily. She is to remain in seclusion, reflecting on her failures. Tyler clenched his fists but kept calm. With all due respect, Your Majesty, I was instructed to ensure her well-being, not isolation. The Queen's gaze sharpened. You will restrict her to your quarters for the remainder of our stay. She is an embarrassment to the royal house. Tyler's temper surged, but he maintained a steady voice. May I ask why she is being punished? What has she done wrong? That is not your concern, human, the Queen snapped. It is if I am expected to enforce her punishment, Tyler countered. Where I come from, we do not punish without reason. Ambassador Chin cleared his throat nervously. Mr. Grant, please remember your position. My position, Tyler interrupted firmly, is that Princess Lilith is a guest in my home. And in my culture, guests are treated with respect. The Queen rose, towering over him. In that case, we will find alternative accommodations for Lilith. Someone who understands their place in the hierarchy. Your Majesty, Chin interjected quickly. There are no other suitable quarters. The station is at full capacity with diplomatic delegations. The Queen considered this, then fixed Tyler with a cold, piercing stare. Very well. The princess will remain with you. But understand this, human. Any further defiance will carry consequences, not just for you, but for your entire species. These trade negotiations are too critical to risk over one disobedient servant. With that, she swept from the room, leaving Tyler seething. Ambassador Chin sighed. I understand your frustration, Mr. Grant, but please, try to be diplomatic. The Zurans can make things very difficult if negotiations fail. So we just let them abuse their daughter? Tyler demanded. We respect cultural differences, Chin replied gently. Even when we disagree, that is diplomacy. Tyler stormed back to his quarters, returning to find Lilith waiting anxiously. What happened? She asked immediately. Tyler hesitated, then decided honesty was best. Your mother wants you confined to these quarters. She says you're an embarrassment and shouldn't be seen in public. Lilith's face fell, though she did not seem surprised. I told her I wouldn't enforce it, Tyler continued, pacing. In my world, people aren't punished without reason. Lilith gasped. Tyler, that's dangerous. My mother isn't someone to cross. Tyler stopped and looked at her, concern in his eyes. Lilith, why are they treating you this way? What did you do? Lilith sank onto the couch, silent, the weight of her situation finally settling around her. Lilith's shoulders slumped, her voice barely above a whisper. I existed. That was my crime. I kept failing them, no matter how hard they tried to fix me. And then, I refused the marriage they arranged. Tyler frowned. Marriage? To a high-ranking official, she said bitterly. He was willing to overlook my physical flaws in exchange for political advantage. Tyler's eyes widened. They wanted to marry you off to someone who didn't even care about you? Lilith nodded. It's normal among royals. But I couldn't do it, Tyler. I couldn't spend my life with someone who saw me as a bargaining chip. Someone who'd be disgusted by me but pretend otherwise for power. So I refused. And this is my punishment. Tyler sat beside her on the couch, hesitated, then gently took her hand. Her skin was cool, soft, fragile in a way that made his chest tighten. I'm sorry, Lilith, he said quietly. That's awful. The worst part, she said, voice trembling, is that I tried. I really did. I studied political theory, learned 7 languages, memorized every royal protocol. I did everything right, except being born with the wrong body type. And now I've ruined everything just because I wanted something real. You haven't ruined anything, Tyler said firmly. You stood up for yourself. That takes courage. Lilith looked up, her violet eyes shimmering with tears. No one's ever said that before. No one's ever seen me as anything but a mistake to fix or hide. Well, I see you, Tyler said softly, squeezing her hand. I see someone brilliant, kind, and brave. Someone who deserves respect. She hesitated, voice small. Even though I'm not beautiful by your standards. Tyler's expression softened. Lilith, I meant what I said before. I think you are beautiful. Not just your face or form, but your spirit. Her breath caught, and the tears she'd been holding back finally fell. Tyler reached up, brushing them gently away. Thank you, she whispered, for being kind to me. It's not kindness, he said. It's how everyone deserves to be treated. Days passed. Despite the Queen's warning, Tyler continued taking Lilith around the station. He introduced her to the head chef, who eagerly experimented with Zuran-compatible dishes bursting with flavor. He showed her the library, where she devoured human literature with fascination. And on the observation deck, they'd spend hours beneath the endless stars, talking about everything from philosophy to favorite foods. Tyler found himself drawn to her more each day. It wasn't just her soft curves, though he found her beautiful. It was her sharp mind, her quiet humor, the spark in her eyes when she discovered something new. Evenings became their favorite time, sharing meals, trading stories, laughing until the walls felt too small to hold it all. And Lilith changed, too. She walked taller now, no longer shrinking into shadows. Her laughter came freely, a sound Tyler could never hear enough. Sometimes, he'd catch her watching him when she thought he wasn't looking, her gaze full of something unspoken that made his heart race. One evening, as a meteor shower blazed beyond the glass, Lilith turned to him, her expression serious. "The negotiations end in 3 days," she said quietly. "My family will leave, and they'll take me with them." A cold weight settled in Tyler's chest. He'd tried not to think about this, about losing her. "I know," he said softly. "I don't want to go back," Lilith whispered, voice cracking. "For the first time in my life, I felt accepted, happy. I can't go back to the silence and the judgment." Tyler took her hand, by now, a gesture that felt as natural as breathing. "What if you didn't go back?" She blinked, startled. "What do you mean?" "You could stay here," he said, the idea forming as he spoke. "Apply for asylum. The station's under the Galactic Council. Your family couldn't force you to leave." "Stay here? As what?" she asked, her voice full of both hope and fear. "As you," Tyler said simply. "You're brilliant. You could join the diplomatic corps, work in the library, whatever you want. You could live your own life." Lilith shook her head. "My family would never allow it. They'd see it as a disgrace." "It's not their choice," Tyler said firmly. "You're an adult. You get to decide who you are." She fell silent for a long moment, staring at the stars. Then, softly, "And what about you? Where would I fit in your life?" Tyler's heart skipped a beat. "Wherever you want to fit," he said. "Lilith, these weeks with you have been the happiest of my life. I don't want them to end. I don't want to lose you." Her eyes lifted to meet his, searching, luminous. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" He took a breath. "I'm saying, I've fallen in love with you, and I hope you might feel the same." For a heartbeat, there was only silence. Then Lilith leaned forward and pressed her cool lips to his. Tyler froze, then melted into the kiss, pulling her closer. When they finally broke apart, she smiled. A radiant, breathtaking smile that transformed her face. "I do," she whispered. "I feel the same way." "I do love you, Tyler," Lilith whispered, her voice steady but full of emotion. "More than I've ever loved anyone. And I'm not giving up on us." She glanced over her shoulder, as if making sure she was truly alone, then leaned closer to the recorder. "My father thinks he's won, but he's underestimated both of us. There's another way. You'll need to trust me and follow every instruction exactly." Tyler listened in silence, every word igniting a spark of hope he hadn't felt since the Queen's ultimatum. When the recording ended, his 30 minutes were nearly up, but this time he was ready. When the security officers arrived, Tyler had already packed his duffel. His expression was calm, unreadable. "I'm ready," he said simply. They escorted him through the sterile corridors to the transport bay, where a small interstellar shuttle waited. As he stepped aboard, Tyler caught sight of Ambassador Chin standing at a distance, watching. The ambassador gave him a faint, almost guilty nod, then turned away. The flight was short. Instead of another diplomatic outpost, the shuttle docked with a much larger transport vessel orbiting the station. A young woman met him at the airlock. "Tyler Grant?" she asked crisply. "That's me. Lieutenant Rivera," she introduced herself. "I'll escort you to your quarters. Departure in 2 hours. Estimated travel time, 8 days. 8 days, Tyler echoed. "To where?" "Earth," Rivera replied, frowning. "You didn't know?" He shook his head slowly. Earth hadn't been part of Lilith's plan. Was this a change? Or had she known something he didn't? Once alone in his cabin, Tyler sat on the edge of the bed, mind racing. Either way, if he wanted to see Lilith again, he had to move now. According to her plan, he had a small window before the transport departed. Checking that the corridor was empty, Tyler slipped out and made his way to the shuttle bay. Lilith had been specific. The Zuron Royal Shuttle will make a final supply run exactly 90 minutes before departure. That's our chance. Tyler crouched behind a stack of cargo containers, heart pounding. Right on cue, the Zuron shuttle arrived, sleek, gleaming, iridescent under the bay lights. Workers bustled to load supplies, barely glancing around. He scanned every face, every uniform, no sign of her. Each passing minute tightened the knot in his chest. Had her family discovered the plan? Was she? Then he saw her. A Zuran in plain service robes, head bowed under a hood, directing the cargo crew. The movements, precise, graceful, familiar, stole his breath. Lilith. She looked around the bay, searching. Tyler stepped just far enough from his hiding place for her to see him. Their eyes met. In that instant, her entire posture changed, her back straightened, her steps purposeful. Lilith approached the cargo supervisor and gestured toward the far side of the bay, near where Tyler hid. Though he couldn't hear their words, the supervisor nodded and motioned for the others to follow him to another section. The moment the crew was gone, Lilith rushed to Tyler. "We have 3 minutes," she whispered urgently. "Follow me." She led him across the bay, eyes darting to every corner, every shadow. Once inside the shuttle, she turned to him. "Hide in the rear compartment. Don't make a sound until I come for you." "Lilith?" Tyler murmured, gripping her hand. "Are you sure about this? If we're caught." "We won't be," she said with quiet confidence. "I've studied diplomatic protocol my entire life. I know exactly how this works. Now go." Tyler nodded and slipped into the cramped storage compartment at the back of the shuttle. Minutes later, the hum of returning crew filled the bay, followed by the deep vibration of engines coming to life. The next 20 minutes felt endless. Cramped in darkness, heart hammering with every footstep outside, every hiss of the docking seals. Then silence, a soft jolt, docking complete. The compartment door creaked open, and Lilith's face appeared, framed by the dim glow of the shuttle lights. "Come on," she whispered. Tyler crawled out, stiff and aching. "What now?" "Now," she said, her voice firm. "We claim asylum, but we have to reach Director Owens before my father realizes I'm missing. She's the only one with the authority to override his diplomatic power." Tyler glanced around nervously. "How do we get there without being seen?" Lilith smiled. A quick, mischievous curve of her lips that reminded him of the woman she'd become. "Service corridors," she said. "The Zurans never used them. And you, my love, know them better than anyone." Tyler couldn't help but grin. Guess all those years of mopping floors finally pay off. He led her to a maintenance hatch near the docking clamps. Together, they slipped into the maze of service tunnels, the narrow arteries that ran unseen through the heart of the station. They moved quickly, guided by the dim emergency lights and Tyler's memory. Twice they froze as maintenance bots whirred past, their sensors scanning the shadows. Once, they nearly stumbled upon a repair crew, ducking into a side passage just in time. Lilith's hand stayed in his the entire way. Neither spoke, but both knew there was no turning back now. "I object to this entire proceeding." The Queen's voice rang, cold and unwavering. "My daughter is a royal subject of Zeter, not under station jurisdiction. Her place is with her family, returning to our home world." "Respectfully, Your Majesty," Director Owens replied, calm and measured. "Once an asylum request has been filed, station protocol requires a full hearing, regardless of status. Princess Lilith has submitted substantial evidence showing treatment that violates the Galactic Charter of Sentient Rights, to which Zeter is a signatory. Fabrications, exaggerations." The Queen dismissed with a flick of her hand. "Lilith has always had a flair for drama. The evidence speaks for itself," Owens countered, gesturing to the large screen behind her. Portions of Lilith's documentation glowed. Records of psychological abuse, food restrictions as punishment, and attempts to coerce her into a politically expedient marriage. "Our legal team has verified every entry. The pattern is clear." The King's face darkened. "We were correcting behavioral issues, not abusing our daughter. And the marriage, royal unions have always been arranged for the good of the empire. Cultural practices you have no right to judge." "Cultural practices end where universal rights begin," Owens said steadily. "The Galactic Charter is explicit, and Zeter's signature on it binds you to these principles." For the next hour, The room crackled with tension. The Zurian royals defended every action, every edict, while Director Owens dismantled each argument with methodical precision, citing law, ethics, and the evidence Lilith had courageously provided. Throughout, Lilith remained composed, speaking clearly, confidently. Tyler watched, awestruck. Gone was the timid, apologetic princess he'd first met. Before him stood a woman fully aware of her worth, fighting for her life and her freedom. Finally, the king shifted tactics, his voice cold and venomous. Even if one were to accept this asylum nonsense, there remains the matter of this human's behavior. He has taken advantage of my daughter, manipulated her emotions, filled her head with fantasies. Tyler opened his mouth to protest, but Owens raised a hand. Silence fell. Serious accusations, Your Majesty, she said. What evidence supports them? Evidence? The king scoffed. A royal princess and a janitor. The very notion is absurd. He clearly has ulterior motives. Lilith's voice rang out, clear and unwavering. Love is not an ulterior motive. While it may be inconceivable to you, Tyler has proven that someone can love me as I am. He saw value in me when my own family saw only failure. He treated me with respect and kindness, when all you offered was criticism and shame. Yes, I love him. And yes, I choose him over a life of misery on Zeter. A murmur rippled through the room. The king's face twisted with fury. You would choose a human servant over your royal heritage? You would bring disgrace upon our house. The only disgrace, Lilith said evenly, is how you treated your own daughter. A true parent values their child's happiness above all else. The queen rose, her voice razor-sharp. If you make this choice, Lilith, there will be no going back. You will be disowned, cut off from your family, from your birthright forever. Lilith didn't flinch. I understand, and I accept those terms. Director Owens turned to the room. Before we proceed, let's address the accusations against Mr. Grant. Your Majesty, in the absence of any substantive evidence and in light of Princess Lilith's testimony, all charges against him are dismissed. He is reinstated immediately. Relief washed over Tyler, brief but potent, before the king's next words cut through the air. This is outrageous. If you grant asylum, if this union proceeds, there will be severe diplomatic consequences. The trade agreement is void. Zeter may reconsider its entire relationship with Earth and this station. A tense silence fell. Tyler's chest tightened. Could love possibly stand against interstellar politics? Billions at stake? Centuries of protocol? Then Ambassador Chin stepped forward, calm, resolute. Your Majesty, he said, voice carrying authority. I have served as Earth's representative for over 20 years. The foundation of any lasting relationship between people or planets is mutual respect. The Galactic Charter ensures that all sentient beings, regardless of species or status, are treated with dignity. If we compromise these principles for economic gain, what does that say about us? The king scowled. You would jeopardize billions over a single disobedient princess? No, Chin replied evenly. I would uphold the principles that make such agreements meaningful. There is a way forward without crisis. Princess Lilith has made her choice. You may not agree, but respecting it need not endanger diplomacy. The king opened his mouth to retort, but the queen laid a steady hand on his arm. A long, wordless exchange passed between them. Finally, the queen addressed the room. Perhaps there is wisdom in the ambassador's counsel. A compromise can be reached. Lilith, if you are determined, you will be released from all royal obligations. You will no longer be Princess Lilith of Zeter, but simply Lilith, a private citizen. This matter will remain confidential. The trade negotiations will proceed as planned. Director Owens looked to Lilith. Is this acceptable to you? Lilith glanced at Tyler, who nodded, silent encouragement in his eyes. Yes, she said firmly. I accept these terms. And you, Your Majesties? Director Owens asked, her gaze steady, awaiting the final word. The king's jaw worked as he struggled with his pride, But finally, he gave a curt nod. We accept, but I want it noted that we do so under protest, and only for the greater good of Zeter. So noted, Director Owens said, relief evident in her voice. Then I believe we have reached a resolution. Princess, forgive me. Miss Lilith's request for asylum is granted, she continued. She will be granted resident status on this station and may pursue citizenship if she wishes. Mr. Grant is fully exonerated and restored to his position, and the trade negotiations will continue as scheduled, with no reference to these personal matters. The Zurian royals left without another word, their rigid posture and cold expressions leaving no doubt of their disapproval. But as the doors closed behind them, Lilith's shoulders relaxed. She turned to Tyler, eyes shining with relief and triumph. It's over, she whispered. We did it. Tyler pulled her into his arms, ignoring anyone who might be watching. You did it, he corrected gently. You stood up to them. You were amazing. Ambassador Chin approached, a small, knowing smile playing on his lips. I owe you both an apology, he said. I was so focused on diplomatic protocol that I failed to see the human element. Thank you for speaking up. Tyler nodded, gratitude in his voice. I know that couldn't have been easy. Sometimes the right path isn't the easy one, the ambassador replied. I wish you both every happiness. In the days that followed, Tyler and Lilith carved out a new life together. Tyler returned to his janitorial duties, though rumors suggested that Director Owens was considering him for a promotion to facilities manager, citing his leadership and integrity. Lilith, meanwhile, had been offered a position in the station's library, cataloging and translating rare texts from across the galaxy. They moved into new quarters, slightly larger than Tyler's original space but modest by station standards. They didn't mind. After all they'd been through, simply being together was luxury enough. One evening, as Lilith read on the couch and Tyler sketched beside her, she looked up suddenly. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Risking your career? All of it? Tyler set down his sketchpad, smiling. Not for a second. How about you? Lilith shook her head. Her silver hair caught the light. No. But sometimes I wonder if I was selfish, choosing my happiness over my duties to my people. There's nothing selfish about refusing to be mistreated, Tyler said firmly. And as for your responsibilities, who says you can't still make a difference? You're brilliant, Lilith. Your knowledge of cultures and languages doesn't vanish just because you're no longer a princess. Lilith's lips curved into a slow smile. You're right. In fact, I've been thinking, I want to join the diplomatic corps. Not as a royal, but as a cultural liaison, helping different species understand one another. I think you'd be perfect, Tyler said, taking her hand. She hesitated. It might mean travel. Sometimes. Tyler grinned. Are you kidding? I've spent 5 years cleaning the same corridors. I'd love to see more of the galaxy, especially with you. Lilith leaned over and kissed him softly. How did I get so lucky? To find someone who loves me for exactly who I am. I'm the lucky one, Tyler insisted. And for the record, I don't just love you for who you are. I love you for who you've helped me become. Someone who stands up for what's right, no matter the cost. 6 months later, their lives had transformed in ways neither could have imagined. Lilith excelled as a cultural liaison, quickly gaining respect for her skill and diplomacy. Tyler had accepted the promotion to facilities manager, improving working conditions for station staff. Together, they became a symbol, a living testament that love could transcend not just cultural differences, but the very boundaries of species. Other interspecies couples, inspired by their courage, began stepping out of secrecy, embracing love openly. On the anniversary of their first meeting, Tyler led Lilith to the observation deck, the same spot where they had first confessed their feelings. Stars stretched endlessly before them, infinite possibilities in the darkness of space. I have something for you, Tyler said, suddenly nervous. He reached into his pocket and revealed a small box. Lilith's eyes widened. He opened it to reveal a ring, a band of earth silver fused with Zurian azure metal, with a small violet stone matching her eyes perfectly. "I know we come from different worlds with different customs," Tyler said. "I'm not sure marriage means the same to Zurans as it does to humans. But to me, it means promising to love someone, to stand by them, to build a life together. And that's what I want with you, for as long as we both live." Tears sparkled in Lilith's eyes as she slipped the ring onto her finger. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes to all of it." As they embraced, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, witnessing a love that had defied royal decrees, cultural differences, and the very odds of the universe itself. A human janitor and an alien princess, finally finding the acceptance and love they had been searching for all their lives. And that was the end of the story. If you want, I can also make a YouTube-ready version of this conclusion, trimmed for narration with pacing and hooks optimized for engagement and retention. This would be perfect to use directly in a story video.